all know the price of Bitcoin and other crypto have been rising exponentially over the past few months. Today, let's talk about the factors that are fueling this growth. I think the bigger question to ask is, why is the stock market rallying so much despite the sharpest economic decline since the Great Depression? Well, at least for me, it makes no sense at all. There is a pandemic that is sweeping the world for the past year, and it's still not ended. The economy is down, GDP is down, small businesses are closing, unemployment has reached all-time high, manufacturing is down, but the stock market is at its all-time high. Dow Jones, S&P 500, Sensex are at a record high. Stocks like GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry are skyrocketing so high that even experienced investors and experts are confused on what is happening. In fact, we can also say this as one of the factors for the increased interest in Bitcoin, as many are confused on what is really happening behind the scenes. So they have started seeing Bitcoin and crypto as a safe hedge against such uncertainty. The next important factor is inflation and the lowering purchasing power of the dollar. Between the year 1975 and just before the coronavirus hit, the total money supply was increased from $273 billion to over $4 trillion as of March 9th, 2020. Since that date, the money supply has gone from $4 trillion to over $6.5 trillion as of November 30, 2020, largely due to coronavirus related stimulus bills. And there are talks happening to pass another stimulus bill of nearly $1 trillion aimed to help those suffering from the coronavirus. Should this new stimulus bill be passed, it would mean that since the onset of coronavirus, around 50% of the world's total supply of US dollars will have been printed in the past couple of months. The stimulus spending has led many to fear far greater inflation rates. To hedge against this inflation, investors have sought assets that either maintain value or appreciate in value. Over the course of 2020, the search for a store of value asset to hedge against inflation has brought them to Bitcoin. But why Bitcoin? There are many assets that are considered a store of value. Perhaps the most common assets that come to mind are precious metals like gold or other things that have a limited supply. With gold, we know that it's a scarce resource, but we cannot verify with complete certainty how much exists. And while it may seem far-fetched, gold exists outside of Earth and may one day be obtainable via asteroid mining as technology advances. On the other hand, Bitcoin is limited. It is written into Bitcoin's code how many will ever exist. And also we can verify with certainty how many exist now and how many will exist in the future. This makes Bitcoin the only asset on the planet that we can prove has a finite and fixed supply. Did you know, once upon a time, aluminium was considered more precious than gold and silver a few hundred years back, as it was hard to obtain. In fact, aluminium cutlery was only reserved for special guests and the elite. Less favored guests used gold knives and forks. But once people figured out how to separate aluminium from minerals cheaply and also how to produce it on an industrial scale, the most coveted metal in the world became the utterly blasé metal we all know today. The next proven factor to consider is the Bitcoin halving. The supply of Bitcoin is limited and only 21 million can ever exist. That is how this technology is programmed. Every 4 years, the supply of Bitcoin decreases. The rate of this inflation is cut in half every 4 years. And this will continue until all 21 million Bitcoins are released to the market. On the other hand, the rising inflation and growth quantity of the US dollar lowers its value over time. With gold, there is a somewhat steady rate of new gold mined from the earth each year, which keeps its rate of inflation relatively consistent. But with Bitcoin, every 4 years, the stock to flow ratio increases. This means the currently available stock circulating in the market relative to the newly flowing stock being added to circulation each year will be consistent. With the first halving that occurred in November of 2012, Bitcoin increased from $12 to $1,150. The second Bitcoin halving occurred in July of 2016. Bitcoin increased to an approx $20,000. The third halving occurred on May 11th, 2020. Bitcoin price reached to $40,000. Theoretically, this price could increase to at least 100,000 sometime in 2021 based on the stock to flow model we just spoke about. The next and most important factor is institutional adoption. Investors and traders who believe Bitcoin is more than a Ponzi scheme say that the 2020 surge is different, mainly because of who is shopping for it now. 3 years ago, the enthusiasm for this digital coin came from retail investors. This time, more major institutional investors have decided to join the market. In the recent year, a number of institutions, both public and private, have been accumulating Bitcoin instead of holding cash in their treasuries. These even include Square, MicroStrategy, Stonebridge Holdings Group, insurance giant MassMutual, etc. The largest accumulator has been from Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. They have been investing hundreds and hundreds of millions into Bitcoin. Investments of this magnitude suggest strong confidence among these institutional investors that the asset will be a good hedge against inflation as well as provide solid price appreciation over time. Apart from such institutional investors buying huge quantities of Bitcoin, many renowned companies have started offering services in this vertical as well. PayPal, for example, has decided to allow crypto access to its over 360 million active users. Fidelity Digital Assets, which launched back in October 2018, has provided custodial services for cryptocurrencies for some time. The CBOE and the CME Group plan to launch cryptocurrency products as well. The number of banks, broker-dealers, and other institutions looking to add such products are just too many to name. It has proven to be an unbreakable technology for the past 10 years. One other noteworthy thing about Bitcoin and the blockchain technology on the whole is that no one has been able to break it for the past 10 plus years. It is somewhat like an open challenge to the entire world out there. And it is for sure the dream of every hacker to break the blockchain security. Just imagine, so strong and secure with no big fancy company or an expert team safeguarding it. Well, as far as I know, every other technology has been hacked so far, but not the Bitcoin. The transparency and decentralization this technology provides has made it impossible to tamper with it. And this makes it a time-tested model until now. Well, we gotta wait and watch if it holds true in the coming years. The next factor fueling the rise in Bitcoin's price is the growing public support. Bitcoin's positive run in the second half of 2020 has seen some major names embrace the cryptocurrency. JP Morgan, which earlier claimed Bitcoin a fraud, has recently very openly said Bitcoin is solidly competing with gold and that the potential long-term upside for Bitcoin is considerable. In fact, some experts claim that Bitcoin is the reason for gold not currently increasing in value as expected. Seems many who used to earlier invest in gold are now shifting their funds to crypto investment. Well, who would have imagined that one day Bitcoin would be dragging the price of gold? Now, having said all this, none of this is a guarantee that Bitcoin isn't a bubble or that it won't crash to zero. For every buyer who claims Bitcoin can raise to $100,000, $400,000, there are still several other respected investors, bankers, and economists who call the digital currency garbage, valueless, and a scam. Even if more traders and investors are counting on its survival and wide adoption. So please do extensive research even before considering investing in Bitcoin, as it's a huge risk. Thank you friends for watching this video. Let's keep talking about more interesting topics. If you would like to be notified of upcoming videos, you can subscribe to this channel or follow us on Instagram TV, Facebook or Twitter. Links are given below.